It's the 26th of June 2024. Welcome to the program. This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwin. Now, yesterday a lot happened and it will go down in history as one of the most, to say the least, interesting days because protesters did breach the parliament perimeter walls and got into parliament, and a lot happened. Lives were lost. And yesterday, a lot happened between around 1 and 5, but that will be put into perspective later on in the program. We are glad you are watching. This is Good Morning Kenya, and I am not alone in studio. Vivian, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you, Mike, and to everyone of you who's tuned in to the program. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for choosing us to start off your morning. Now, it's a sad state of affairs right here in the country, nothing to smile about, and my heart goes out to everyone whose kin never made it back home safe yesterday. Condolences to you. And I mean, to all the young people, my take on all of this, and just my word to you out there, just stay safe. Do not put yourselves in harm's way. I don't think it is worth it. That's my take. Yes,
even the president termed that sad state of affairs as treasonous and vowed to have a crackdown on organizers and financiers of the protest, which entered their 5th day yesterday. Victor, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Good morning and welcome to the program. Of course, it was an eventful day yesterday. The hallmark was the finance bill was finally passed, and now it's waiting for the president to put his signature to it, and therefore it will come to law. We are waiting to see what will be happening, but in the next coming days, it will also be interesting to see what will unfold in the country. A lot of people, including the international community, have also spoken. Different nations have also spoken, sending their words of caution to Kenya. What is going to happen? The president said that he's going to crack the whip and he's going to stay firm and take charge. My name is Victor Lowe, standing in for Regina Manyara. Let's begin this where we should. Now, after running battles in Nairobi's Central Business District, police were overwhelmed by the protesters who broke all barriers leading to Parliament, broke the Parliament wall and also the perimeter wall, and gained entry into the precincts of Parliament. The protesters thrashed parts of the building, compromised the National Assembly chambers, and sent lawmakers scampering for safety. Give us on Maina now reports.
Tuesday in Nairobi's Central Business District, protesters in their thousands trooped to major streets to sustain their Reject Finance Bill 2024 calls. Hundreds of anti-riot police were deployed to contain the crowds. But in sequences, police were being pushed back by the angry protesters. But as running battles persisted, protesters broke all 4 barriers leading to Parliament, and hell broke loose.
After hours of running battles, police were overwhelmed by protesters who, after gaining or making their way to Parliament Road, even came and banned this particular lorry belonging to police service. And after that, they went straight ahead and broke the gate of the Parliament buildings. And after that, they forced their way into the Parliament.
In their numbers, the protesters broke Parliament's perimeter wall, forcing lawmakers to flee toward the county hall. One of the nominated members of Parliament, Jackson Kosgei, who represents people living with disabilities, appeared to have been abandoned by his colleagues. He was being escorted by the protesters to safety. The protesters briefly laid siege on Parliament before marching out in the streets shortly before police gained control.
All right, after several people are now feared dead, while dozens are nursing injuries following anti-finance bill protest in the capital city, Nairobi. Section of people who are injured received medical care from the makeshift medical camps within Nairobi's Central Business District, where medics affiliated to various trade unions also offered treatment. Those seriously injured were taken to Kenyatta National Hospital, where staff were on standby to offer medical emergency help. And here, our AFP journalist Collins Olunga is among those who were injured in the process. All right, now the contentious Finance Bill 2024 is now awaiting assent by the President after members of the National Assembly adopted it with amendments. The bill, which was approved on Tuesday, had legislators sharply divided on the floor of the House as the opposition side opted to withdraw its amendments, maintaining it that they should be rejected in its entirety. The National Assembly, on the last day of the consideration of the bill, was characterized by a dramatic stance from opposition MPs who adopted the Reject the Finance Bill slogan in their responses in the moved amendments.
Last day of consideration of the contentious Finance Bill 2024 at the National Assembly. Amendments proposed to the Finance Bill took the better part of the morning sitting at the Committee of the Whole House. The opposition side opting to withdraw the individual proposed amendments, maintaining their rejection of the bill in totality.
I want to express myself to the Hansard that my amendments stand withdrawn. Thank you.
But that was not all. As the chair of the Finance Committee moved each amendment, the voice vote by the opposition was a chant. Reject Finance Bill.
Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
At the end, the process would call for a division of the bill to proceed to the next stage. It is here that the opposition lost by 105 votes against their counterparts from the ruling party, who supported the bill by 195 votes. The bill immediately proceeded to the last stage, the third reading, where once again a voice vote was required, and the majority had their way.
The results of that division is as follows. Ayes 195, nays 106, abstentions nil, spoiled votes 3. The ayes have it.
The bill now awaits enactment into law.
Hundreds of youths and anti-finance bill protesters in Kisumu County poured onto the streets to voice their concerns over the controversial bill. Now, the demonstrations also remained largely peaceful for the better part of the day, with very few incidents of insecurity responded. Achola Simon reports from Kisumu.
The anti-bill protesters stand up in large numbers, incandescent over sections of the Finance Bill 2024. The demonstration started at the traditional start point of demos in Kisumu County, that is at Kondele roundabout, before snaking through major streets in the CBD. The demonstrators breaking into song and dance, occasionally standing to sing the national anthem, perhaps as a clear sign of their patriotism. Shops remained closed as many businessmen either joined into the demonstrations or stayed at home in fear of possible chaos. Police kept a safe distance, keenly following the proceedings. Around midday, they dispersed pockets of demonstrators that had begun lighting bonfires along the Kisumu-Kakamega Road. Politicians kept off demonstrations, as has been the case since they broke out last week. No major incidents of insecurity was reported in Kisumu County. In Homa Bay County, Protesters barricaded roads that lead in and out of Homa Bay town as they expressed their displeasure with the bill too. In Migori County, the political class joined in the demonstrations as locals poured on the streets to voice their displeasure with the bill. They blocked the Migori-Sibania Road, crippling the free flow of transport through the town.
At the same time, thousands of young people in Coast, also in Coast region, joined their counterparts countrywide in protest against the Finance Bill 2024. In Mombasa County, 4 protesters are nursing serious injuries after confrontations with the anti-riot police officers. In Malindi, Kilifi County, anti-finance bill protests also turned ugly following confrontations between police and demonstrators engaging each other.
The anti-bill protesters turned up in large numbers, incandescent over sections of the Finance Bill 2024. The demonstration started at the traditional start point of demos in Kisumu County.
This is the situation in Mombasa County. Thousands of youth, generally referred to as Generation Z, drawn from various parts of the county on Tuesday morning, took to the streets to protest the Finance Bill 2024.
Youth all over the county has come out. This shows you that you must sit down and think and rethink. Hii tax inaumiza mwananchi wa kawaida, inaumiza mzazi, inaumiza wafanyakazi, na kama hakuna pesa za kuwekeza katika kofu ya serikali, we have no position. We will fight until we get our rights.
Business in the Central Business District remained paralyzed for the better part of the day, with the demonstrations causing traffic disruptions on major roads. Chaos erupted when the protesters attempted to access the route leading to State House, forcing the anti-riot police officers to intervene by lobbing tear gas canisters. 4 protesters sustaining serious injuries. In Malindi, Kilifi County, anti-finance bill protest turned ugly after police and youth confronted each other. A section of the protesting youth condemned the violence witnessed and abandoned the protest in the afternoon.
Mimi nimechoka bwana. Finance bill hatutaki Omera. Sisi kama watu wa Malindi tumeamua leo, mpende msipende, mutaangusha hiyo kitu.
The protesters say their anger is directed at MPs who passed the finance bill and not the police.
Sisi kama vijana tunakataa finance bill. Tumechoka kutumiwa kama vijana. Kwa sasa tuna reject finance bill. Tunataka maendeleo, tunataka vijana tuendelee.
Meanwhile, the youth of Mpeketoni in Lamu County also joined their peers across the country in mass demonstrations against the Finance Bill 2024.
Kwanza kabisa, very disappointed. Kwanza to our women MPs and women reps, they have disappointed us. Hata hatuja participate in this, wamepitisha tu hata bila kutu involve.
Right now, as that was happening last evening at 9 p.m., President William Ruto also gave a statement addressing the nation at 9 p.m. And part of the statement said that today Kenya experienced an unprecedented attack on its democracy, rule of law, and the integrity of its constitutional institutions. An otherwise legitimate expression of the fundamental rights and freedom of assembly, demonstration, picketing and petitioning of public authorities by a section of law-abiding citizens of the Republic of Kenya was infiltrated by and hijacked by a group of organized criminals. The speech continued to say that most regrettably, today's attack on Kenya's constitutional order has resulted in the loss of life, destruction of property and desecration of the institutions and emblems of our sovereignty. The president continued to say that today's events mark a critical turning point in how we respond to grave threats to our national security. He added that I assure the nation that the government has mobilized all the resources at the nation's disposal to ensure that a situation of this nature will not recur again at whatever cost. the president went ahead to thank the security officers who were on duty, that is yesterday, for applying themselves to the best of their abilities in the defense of Kenya and its people. He added that accordingly, I have directed all the organs of our national security to deploy all measures to thwart any attempts by dangerous criminals to undermine the security and stability of our country. And before that, the president, however, said that as a people of Kenya, he has assured everybody that he's going to do everything. And to the young people of Kenya, said that I must thank for helping our country organize our democratic discourse around issues. And I thank you and assure you that the conversation that I have begun around pertinent issues of our nation will continue to inform our policy and governance decisions. And finally, he also said that, however, our national conversations on any subject matter must be conducted in a manner that respects and honors the fundamental values upon which our nation is established, namely constitutionalism, the rule of law, and respect for the institution. That is just but a part of the speech that President William Ruto gave last night following the deadly clashes that we witnessed in the country yesterday. As that was happening, a section of Azimio leaders from the Azimio One Kenya Alliance also condemned what they term as excessive use of force by police during the mass demonstrations against the Finance Bill 2024. Addressing the press separately at Parliament buildings and at DAPK Kenya headquarters, the opposition leaders demanded immediate release of demonstrators who they claim were arrested by police. They also called on the government to listen to the voice of the people and reject the Finance Bill 2024 in its entirety.
Hatujawahi kuwa na tukio kama hili, Wakenya kuwawa mbele ya bunge yao, mbele ya wanahabari na dunia yote. Na leo tunataka tukashifu kabisa kitendo hiki cha kihalifu, polisi waliotumia risasi kuua watoto wetu, na tuambie ya kwamba wote wataajibika mbele ya sheria.
Kenyans have demonstrated across the country, from Turkana to Lamu, from Kitui to Kakamega, from Makueni to Lodwar. Lodwar is in Turkana. Okay. In Garissa, the 47 counties of our republic. And all of them were unanimous. The finance bill must be withdrawn in its totality.
All right, it's 7 a.m. on the dot. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who's the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevakishwa.
Zile wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Let me not repeat myself.
You don't have to repeat yourself. The spirit has refused.
Josephine Kamene.
Of this year, huh? Yani, you mean you are not paying rent because you want just to please a woman?
Ah, my brother. That is a beautiful thing.
You two guys, you have to put stop to this. You are constant eating. I just cleaned this glass few minutes ago and you already soiling it. Mumelongwa.
At least she's genuine about her feelings, unlike some watops here rejoicing chini kwa chini.
And welcome back. How about we take some sports now? Now, the national women's volleyball team, Malkia Strikers, has also received a boost of 2 million shillings, that's 2 million Kenya shillings from Mozartbet for the forthcoming FIVB Challenger Cup and Paris Olympics Games. The team will be heading to Miramas, France, after the Challenger Cup in the Philippines to prepare for the Olympics Games set from 24th of July to 11th of August this year.
This sponsorship is an addition to the 15 million shillings from Mozartbet to the team, which has been training at Kasarani in preparation for the two events.
We will continue to support generally sports, generally communities across Kenya, because we saw that sponsorship, we saw the results. The results are here thanks to the God.
Malkia Strikers is set to participate in the FIVB Challenger Cup, scheduled from 1st to 7th of July in Philippines, with the squad scheduled to depart for Philippines this Saturday.
We are going to look at the consistency of a player throughout the training that we have had here, and how we are going to look at three things: the defense on the net, the attack, and the consistency of a player.
In Philippines, the Kenya team will take on Puerto Rico with a host of friendly matches lined up before the Challenger Cup.
You can secure friendly matches with any team that you are not going to directly face. It will be a very big uplifting opportunity for us.
The government, of course, has revised the scheme for allowances for the players when in camp. We are also revising the allowances for the team if they win a medal at the Olympics. We are also revising the foreign allowances when the team is out there.
After the Philippines tournament, Kenya is set to head to Miramas, France to prepare for the Olympic Games, set to be held from 24th of July to 11th of August, where they're looking forward to a good campaign.
Best to the Malkia Strikers. Back home, the Kenya national Kabaddi's men's team were off to a winning as the Africa Men's Kabaddi Cup got underway at Kasarani yesterday with an outstanding 63-38 defeat of Zanzibar in the opening match.
The Kenya men's team made their intentions clear when they welcomed the rest of the continent in the one-week Africans Men's Kabaddi's Cup, which has attracted 9 teams. They took the lead with 39 points against 21 after halftime. Zanzibar tried to get back into the game after the break, but they could not resist the host, who won 63-38. South Sudan were also off to a winning start with a resounding 70-35 defeat on Zambia in Pool A, which has also drawn Rwanda and DRC. The one-week tournament continues tomorrow, with Kenya looking forward to retain the title to secure a slot to represent Africa in the upcoming Kabaddi World Cup set for December and January in Dubai.
All right, sports and news, we are done with that. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be heading straight to the viewpoint, taking a look at really what happened yesterday and what we should be expecting in the coming days. Stay with me. Wilson Sosion and Pitorero Meshmiwa will be in studio with me. Stay with us.
In the field of technology, artificial intelligence, commonly known as AI, has been hitting the headlines over the last years. The goal of artificial intelligence is to make machines to think like humans and perform human-like tasks.
What artificial intelligence is pretty much we've been trying to understand how machines can learn the way humans learn.
A machine that is having this human intelligence, you're just embedded in it, and then it's actually now able to actually do task, definitely using now the complex algorithms under it.
The way I think about AI is it's a tool. As long as human beings have existed, we've been working our way towards an assistant or a tool that can help us. So we've actually always been building AI.
Artificial intelligence has become more popular today, but the term AI was first coined in the 1950s. Advanced algorithms, improvement in computing power and storage are among the features that have marked remarkable evolution in AI.
I was first introduced to AI when I was 12 years old. I didn't know necessarily it was AI, but it was an old scrap computer that had an AI called Eliza, which was the first ever chatbot. You know, the way now we use ChatGPT.
Human intelligence, animal intelligence, and collective intelligence are among other intelligences. This begs the question, how is AI different from other intelligences?
When it comes to the AI bit of it, artificial intelligence, so this is actually intelligence that has been built by humans. So we're talking about the complexities of algorithms actually being able to work.
The use of AI in the day-to-day life results to efficiency through task automation, data analysis for informed decisions, assistance in medical diagnosis, among other benefits.
So what artificial intelligence helps you do is that this is a machine that doesn't need sleep, doesn't need to eat, it only needs electricity.
Just think of this superhuman. That's what the machine is trying to do. Not really trying, it's actually doing right now.
So what artificial intelligence does is it gives you superpowers. It can work day and night for your work. So meaning at night, it could be able to create new kinds of money for you.
It's a tool that is actually helping us.
With or without one's knowledge, many have used artificial intelligence as a cutting edge in problem solving, language processing, and e-commerce services.
If you think today, a boda rider is actually able to, complete their trips much easier because they are using Google Maps.
Look at farmers. There's a lot going on when it comes to the farming bit. So we have these agricultural, they're called agricultural officers that go about and tell someone, for this particular bit, the soil texture is like this, the moisture of the soil is like this.
Anybody who's been using a digital lending app like Tala or Branch or Mshwari today is actually interacting with AI in some form or other. If you've ever done anything on YouTube or Facebook, then you've interacted with AI.
Globally, the United States is currently leading in the AI race with over $249 billion investment. According to AI experts, Kenya is also on the race, although there is more to be done.
The government in some of the things that it's already doing is doing the things that will lead us to AI.
What I do appreciate about the Kenyan government is that it's really focusing its ICT strategy to allow more people to upskill in digital, right? Not just AI, how do you use computers and then be able to use artificial intelligence?
So we need infrastructure, right? You need electricity, right? We are doing a lot in terms of geothermal electricity, in terms of wind, so we can have a lot of renewable energy that powers AI, because AI is essentially power. You're using power to run data centers which store data.
Despite its enormous benefits, especially in dealing with big data, the subject of AI is surrounded with myths and misconceptions. Different people hold different opinions regarding AI and the effects it has on human labor.
So a lot of people would say things such as AI is going to take a job. The reality is that it's not AI that's going to take over your job. It's the person who learns how to use AI well who's probably going to take over your job because they're going to be more efficient.
AI will lead to unemployment, but it will also lead to employment. In a recent study by the International Labour Organization, it showed that AI will actually lose in Africa 1% of jobs, while it will increase jobs by 16%.
AI itself is actually depending on humans, yeah? On what kind of data are we actually like giving out? And as much as you're saying no, let's see where we're actually like heading in the future. I'm not saying that it's going to actually like take away, like it's going to actually like, it's actually working with humans. AI is actually working with humans because we are the ones giving out the data.
With the fear of the possibility of AI taking over jobs, the question still remains: what should be the strategy to ensure one does not lose his or her job to AI?
Upskill yourself. So now the new packages are AI tools, AI skills. Go and learn them. Go and download, go and access ChatGPT, sign up for it. Go and download, Meta, Imagine, and create some, content for yourself and learn and play with it, create music, So really it's about people also teaching themselves and upskilling themselves. So learning the new packages. And now they're free. A lot of them are free. You don't have to go to some place and pay. It's free. All you're paying for is internet.
We are in a space where either you like it or not, this particular technology is here with us. What you can actually just do is embrace.
My message to Kenyans is that we really have a big opportunity here. Our governments have a great opportunity to continue empowering people into the digital world. We have a great opportunity to be able to be leaders on the continent, to be able to show what is possible and to use it to not only become more food secure, but to become a healthier nation, a much smarter nation, and to improve the world in a whole.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's now 7:15 a.m. All right. So let's talk about what's really happened in the country and what you should be expecting. Again, we'll also be taking a look at what you have on the front page of our local dailies. Starting with the Daily Nation. Let me start with the Daily Nation. Let me get to that. All right, so there we have it. On the front page of the Daily Nation is more of what happened yesterday. One word: pandemonium. That is what's on the front page of the Daily Nation. Pandemonium. Says that it was a day like no other. After mass of youthful protesters angered by the government's move to forge ahead with the controversial tax bill, breached security and broke into parliament buildings, the seat of the country's legislature. Young lives were lost while hundreds were injured when police opened fire on demonstrators who had taken to the streets in 35 counties across the country. Property worth millions of shillings were destroyed, already shuttered shops vandalized, and businesses associated with some MPs attacked in a day of heightened pandemonium. That is the story that is making the headlines, and it continues on the inner pages. Page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and page 12. You can take a look at that story taking cost of what really happened. Let's reason together. Kenya belongs to all of us. That is another situation here. And as that was happening, there is now an issue, perhaps you can call it the finance bill crisis. President Ruto issues treason warning as military unleashed against riots. This is also on the front page of the Daily Nation. At this particular point, allow me to bring in Mheshimiwa Wilson Sossion, who is former NAT Secretary General and CS. So I'm also waiting for Mheshimiwa Peter Orero. Mheshimiwa Peter Orero representing the great people of Kibra constituency. Mheshimiwa Sossion, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Pandemonium, that is what's on the Daily Nation front page. What do you make of that?
Well, what we witnessed yesterday was, of course, initially it was Gen Z taking advantage of the provision of Article 37 of the Constitution to peaceably picket and unarmed. But we witnessed deviation from that there's a lot of violent actions, breaking the fence of Parliament, invading Parliament, destroying property of Parliament. That is not a simple issue. It has never happened since independence that Parliament is invaded violently and property destroyed. That actually is not picketing. Those are criminal actions, and they are treasonable offenses because that is an attack on the heart of the democratic institutions of this country. If you look at the US, it is an abomination to do such near the Congress, but you can demonstrate outside the White House.
Yeah.
And any action on this is actually desecration of the democratic institutions. It wasn't right. It is possible to picket peacefully. That one is given. But when violence accompanies it, it's fundamentally it's not right. Then at the end of the day, was it really all about the finance bill, or there could be other issues? So I think the country has to get into some deep introspection, and we should know how to express ourselves in a democratic space, in a peaceful manner, that we don't injure the rights of others, and also we don't demean the integrity of the nation internationally, because that is not right. Because invading Parliament and violently destroying property around Parliament, destroying property inside Parliament, I don't think that is the right thing to do. That is completely wrong.
The whole thing happened,
and
across
the only information
counties.
All information that is coming out is that this demonstration were infiltrated by criminal gangs who were out to take advantage of the peaceful demonstration of the young Kenyans. The young Kenyans are speaking honestly. And as the president has stated, the young Kenyans will continue to be engaged beyond this. And there has to be a way of isolating criminals from the young Kenyans who are speaking about the future of the country and the democratic processes of the country, the aspirations of the country, which is good. That's a good message from the young people. But their programs have been infiltrated by criminals and political groups who want to take advantage to spoil, who want to take advantage to ride on the activities of the young people.
Yes.
And of course, at the end of the day, they'll spoil the image of these young Kenyans.
The focus is only in Parliament, but we saw demonstrations across the country the entire day yesterday, from Malindi to Kisumu to Kakamega, Eldoret, everywhere, 35 counties across the country also were involved.
Yeah, the messaging on the finance bill, and I've said it in other media houses, and I still say it even here, the messaging around the finance bill is actually mob lynching of the finance bill. That is it's a bad thing that is coming. But very few, very serious people are not coming out to communicate to Kenyans exactly what the finance bill is all. It's a revenue collection or raising measure that is meant to finance the budget. And the budget is 3.9 trillion shillings. That's our budget. And I think it has been passed within the appropriation bill. And the revenue collection currently for the country stands at 2.3 trillion shillings. So there is indeed a deficit of 1.6 trillion. But then, even from what is collected, the loan repayment, we've not put the loan repayment on top of 3.9. The loan repayment is at 1.3 trillion. So then that takes the revenue requirement to 5.2 trillion shillings. And the 1.3 trillion plus, of course, the money that goes to free education will take almost all the revenue. So as a country, we must move on. As a country, we must deliver the development agenda of the country. And revenue must be collected. So the conversation, and I dare say, the finance bill is an innocent document. It is, in fact, a document that is meant to raise revenue to salvage the country. The conversation should shift to the usage of money that is collected. We should be now talking about corruption. We should be talking about accountability. We should be talking about delivery of programs. And that is what should have. So the whole message, even if you manage to organize actions, whether peaceful or violent, for the whole week, daily, in all the counties, without striking the right message that is progressive for the country and for the people, then we'll still be doing wrong things. I think the messaging around the finance bill has been taken wrongly, and the lynching on the finance bill is wrong. And one thing I'm happy about is that the bill was eventually passed, and it's awaiting presidential assent. The president should send it into law as soon as he receives it, because it has been processed legally, right from the proposals at the Treasury down to the public participation, to the processes of Parliament, and yesterday the question was put and it unanimously passed. So we must be a country of constitutional order and law. And right now we must draw a dichotomy between democratic, lawful and constitutional governance and violent, destructive ways of expressing ourselves.
But I believe you've given me the account very well. We have the institutions mandated to do that, from the public participation. Now we had the parliament doing its work. It's now waiting for the president to put down his signature on it. But then the question would be, what danger would have been caused if the signs were seen pretty early enough to stop it at some point and say, wait a minute, this is what's going to happen.
You cannot postpone.
And then go back to the drawing board and talk about it. Because the conversation out there is to
Victor,
to drop the entire bill in its entirety.
Victor, even those clamoring for dropping of the bill do not even understand the bill. They've not read the bill.
You think so?
Yes, okay. I'm completely sure. They've not read the bill. And the message here was that you force the president to withdraw and suspend. That was the strategy, to stop the president. And by stopping the president, you are stopping the collection of revenue. By stopping the collection of revenue, you are stopping the implementation of the budget. By stopping the implementation of the budget, you are stopping the operations of the country. You are stopping the delivery of health care. You are stopping the delivery of education. You are stopping the development of infrastructure. You are stopping the investment in agriculture. You are basically stopping the country. You are stopping the economy. I don't think that is what Kenyans want. And remember, Victor, one person was sworn in to protect the constitution and the law in this country. There are no two people. One person That is the President of the Republic of Kenya.
Okay.
He was sworn in to protect the law and the Constitution. And that is what he will do. You don't intimidate the president and hold the president hostage from doing what is constitutionally right through demonstrations and unlawful activities.
Let's take a look what you have on the front page of the
not right.
of
And
the
so,
standard. Yes.
and so I believe the president will sign it into law, and the government programs will continue being executed. Law and order will be enforced, and these young generations will be engaged. This is the best generation to deal with.
What do you have on the front page of the Standard, Mheshimiwa? Deaths and mayhem. That is on the front page of the Standard. Deaths, mayhem. 2 words. That is what was characterized yesterday in an unprecedented move. Youthful protesters overran house as at least 13 protesters are gunned down. Hundreds of others injured and property worth millions of shillings destroyed in fierce day-long countrywide battles by youth with the police. President William Ruto said that the events were treasonous and vowed to hit back. That is what on the front page of the Standard newspaper. The pictures showing everything. According to Standard, the figures stand at 145 for people who were injured, 125 at KNH and another 20 at various hospitals. Perhaps that figure might have dropped or gone up depending on the prevailing situation. And according to Standard, as at now, 13 people or protesters killed in demonstrations across the country. 10 in Nairobi, 3 in Nakuru, and 1 in Kitale. That's as far as this is concerned. But then, very quickly before I get back to that, because it's almost more or less the same thing, on the front page of the Standard newspaper, deaths, chaos, rage. Deaths, chaos, rage, still on the same. It is a case of angry mob loots parliament as anti-tax law protest sweep country. That is on the front page of the Star. For the sake of fairness, that is what is on the front page. Deaths, chaos, and rage. My question is, now that the president is waiting for the bill to be passed, already it's been passed, so he's just waiting to put his signature to it, to assent to it. So what next?
First, before I comment, you've pointed out what is screaming on the headlines, death and mayhem and whatnot. Now, the big question is, what we are seeing in the headlines, does it conform with the provision of Article 37 of the Constitution? Peaceful demonstration and unarmed. Does it? It really doesn't. So we cannot take advantage of the provisions of Article 37, hide behind Article 37, and then promote violence, chaos, and anarchy. It's not right, because when we lose lives, when we lose property, and even when we lose the agenda, the principal agenda of the democratic practices that we seek to promote, peaceful demonstration. What is so expensive with engaging in peaceful demonstration? Why do you as demonstrators engage even throw stones even at police officers, for example? That is not right. So really, we must draw a dichotomy between the rule of law and lawlessness, even as we undertake and audit all these activities. Now, and as I've said, this is just to intimidate the president to not to sign. It was, first of all, you intimidate Parliament, and we have seen intimidation of individual members of Parliament who voted yes for the bill, and that is not right. That is actually mob justice. Allow members of Parliament to use their conscience, because from where I am, for example, as an educator, education requires 659 billion. It is from the finance bill.
I beg
hiring
you
of
that.
more teachers,
I beg you
18
that.
billion.
I beg you hold that.
It is higher education loans board. We need to get our university students,
let's take a break.
universities funded. That's 6.3 billion. And we can go on and go on and go on. The healthcare, universal health coverage, 8.1 billion.
We'll get into the
primary
figures.
health care.
Let's take a break.
So you look at that.
Let's take a break.
But you have asked, if the president signs, what next?
What next?
All this will be implemented.
We'll be right back. What next? Is a break.
Unajua, token meter yako inahitaji system update. Ni rahisi na ni free. Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani SMS, weka kodi ya kwanza kureset, alafu weke kodi ya pili kuupdate ili token meter yako iendelee kufanya kazi kama kawaida. Update token meter yako. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
Maji ni uhai, maji ni haki yako.
Je, unajua kwamba wizi wa maji ni uhalifu unaoathiri sisi sote? Hata hivyo, wateja wengi wa maji husalia kimya bila kufahamu madhara yake.
Hii kazi ya kutafuta bibi ni ngumu sana.
Naweza kutafutia mmoja.
Hai dad.
Ukae na kijana wako na mumuite mama yake, mpange mambo yenyu kama familia. Mimi siko na nyinyi.
Wanawake hutaka nini?
Yaani ndugu yangu analia vitu zake zimechomeka zote. Na nyinyi mnashangilia biashara yenu inaenda mzuri.
Wasreb tunaadhimisha miaka 20 ya udhibiti wa huduma za maji.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alisema kuwa siku hizi 10 za kwanza za mwezi wa Dhulhijja ni siku ambazo ni bora kabisa katika masiku yote katika dunia.
Kinachopendekezwa ni kuwa sisi wenyewe tuwe ni wenye kusoma na kurejelea kwa kusoma zile takbirati za Eid.
All right, welcome back. Okay, so that is what we have here. I've just received a message from Mheshimiwa Orero saying that he is holed up in an urgent meeting and therefore he'll not make it. But the show has to continue nonetheless. Mheshimiwa, we have to do this. All right, so you are giving me certain figures there in as far as this is concerned. Perhaps you...
Yes, I'm giving you. This is what will happen. Once the president signs the bill into law, then it will give effect and guarantee of collection of revenue of at least 2.3 trillion. And you can see the finance bill is meant to enhance collection of revenue by at least 300 billion. So then that will take the collection to 2.8 trillion.
Yes.
That then gives a guarantee that the government investment programs within the line ministry, state departments, and the projects will be implemented. I was giving you, for example, education. All the JSS teachers, 46,000 teachers, will be employed under permanent and pensionable terms. Those are, and that will require 18 billion. So that gives a guarantee. The passage gives an assurance that all the 46,000 teachers will be employed on permanent and pensionable terms. And there's an individual who has been part of this program of employment of teachers within the Kenya Kwanza administration. I'm a happy man. And there will be an additional employment of 20,000 teachers. So that means we'll have more teachers present in our classrooms and in our public schools. Our students at the universities will get through help that 6.3 billion shillings. The new university funding model will get an additional 25.5 billion shillings. So that means more funding of our university students in the whole of this arrangement. And that is going to free the household from more responsibilities, and universities will keep coming back to life. TVET funding model will require 30.6 billion shillings. School feeding program will get 3 billion shillings. Free primary education, 9.1 billion shillings. Free day secondary education, 61.8 billion shillings. Junior secondary, 30.6 billion shillings. So that means there will be lots of robust activities within the education sector, which is a big master plan of Kenya Kwanza administration of delivering equitable quality education for all
that
children.
That is just but
Kenya.
a bit of it.
That is in education. But in the healthcare, allow me, Victor, in the healthcare, it will receive an allocation of 131 billion. So all these programs will be about investing in various programs for the services of all Kenyans,
at the
wherever
expense
they are.
of the taxpayer who says that they don't want the Finance Bill 2024. I hear you.
No, the message of don't say the message of taxpayers saying we don't want the finance bill is misrepresented. It's miscommunicated. It is mismanaged. The people of Kenya can exercise their powers directly,
Article 1,
or indirectly through the elected members of Parliament.
Yes.
The elected members of Parliament have processed the finance bill and have passed it.
Why did they listen to their people? If
no,
power
they
belongs to
listened.
the
There
people.
was public participation. That was done. Submissions were made. So really, Victor, I want you, even you as media, isolate facts from truth. So don't glorify lies at the expense of truth. The truth is, if it is the people of Kenya, taxpayers speaking, they have spoken through the elected representatives in Parliament by passage of the bill. And the president must exercise responsibility without being distracted to ascend it into law and ensure that the line ministries are operating. I was giving you, for example, the health care. Universal health care will receive 8.1 billion shillings. Primary health care, that is the dispensaries, will receive 8.1 billion. Emergency and chronic and critical illness fund, 2 billion. Intern doctors, 3.7 billion. If you look at the budget, the way it has been planned, and the allocation, it is going to free Kenyans. And so then, if we ask the question of what will the money do, and if it does exactly what is supposed to be done, you will see Kenyans in the coming years saying there is no problem with paying more taxes. If we are going to pay more taxes so that we get quality services and we don't spend, Kenyans can be freed from spending in healthcare. Kenyans can be freed from spending in education. Kenyans can be freed from buying food expensively, because one area that needs a lot of fiscal injection is agriculture. And agriculture is a major pillar of Kenya Kwanza administration. More subsidies in fertilizers, more subsidies in farm inputs, more investments in irrigation, so that then food can be available and
Did we meet
processed
our revenue target last year, in the last financial year? That's almost lapsing.
Yeah, the revenue last year, we may not have met because the target was 2.6 trillion.
Yes.
And the Treasury KRA was able to collect 2.3 trillion, up from 2.1 trillion.
So we have a short.
So it was an enhanced. So we still have a gap. That is why the Treasury.
So the question many people will be asking, Mheshimiwa,
and let me tell you.
Allow me to ask you this question.
Let me tell you.
No. When you raise the tax and you raise the revenue collection to 3.92 trillion the next financial year, and yet in the last financial year we have a shortfall. That is the question most people are asking, that why raise it and yet the previous one did not meet the target?
You know, eventually, the revenue collection for the economy to stabilize and for the balance sheet to balance between revenue collection and expenditure, collection, raising and expenditure, the tax collection must be enhanced. Right now is Kenya, as a ratio to GDP, our tax is standing at 14% of the GDP. And most economies around us are doing 22 to 25%. So we are still very low. And so, despite the fact that we didn't get to the exact target last year, that is why the finance bill of this year is revised so that it can broaden that collection. And the finance bill is not prepared by the president. It is not prepared, it is prepared by the Treasury. This is an expert's document that is prepared by the Treasury. Those are our own sons and daughters of this country who are skilled in that particular area. And once the bill was brought to Parliament, it is processed by Parliament, because power of enacting finance bill, power of appropriation bill, that is the budget, and the entire process is vested in the National Assembly, and it has the requisite infrastructure. And therefore, there is space for the public to give in terms of public participation. They did it. But then, when you introduce another avenue of mayhem and anarchy, and you tell Kenyans, oh, stop the finance bill.
Yes.
So what?
What is so special about this?
Now,
because
let me ask you, Victor, if the finance bill is stopped, what next?
That's the question I also asked you.
No, I also want you to tell me. If you stop it, what next?
I need you to answer me, because that was my next question.
You're not going to collect
next?
revenue. You're not going to implement programs.
But
and then
there is no danger. There is no danger in using the previous revenue collection. That is of the last financial year.
If it was not able to raise revenue up to 2.6 trillion, then it means it may not be working effectively. The law allows every year you can have. You will have a finance bill for every year because there is a new budget every year. Are you also saying we don't work on a budget for this year? We continue with the budget of the previous year. The needs of Kenyans are different. We have seen the needs of schools, the needs of education, the needs of healthcare, and we have been seeing doctors in the streets and the rest. You must respond to that.
I like
now
what
we
you
are
said.
seeing the Gen Z, this new generation, they need jobs. That's a fact. And therefore, more than ever before, this revenue must be collected so that the development of agenda of government, particularly of investing and revamping agriculture and the production sector and manufacturing.
I love what you said on accountability and corruption.
Yes.
Have we, because that's the big question, the biggest elephant in the room.
I will love in this country if there will be a demonstration, a peaceful one in the country, to talk about corruption, to talk about accountability.
That's another elephant in the room that
we agree.
Many people are saying,
and that is why I've said.
Many people are saying that the two have not been addressed.
And I think you agree with me, Victor. I have said, and I still repeat, the finance bill is an innocent document. It has no room for any mob lynching and fighting. Let it pass. Collect revenue. The war here is on delivery of programs. Are we able to deliver? And Kenyans must put government to account on, have we delivered in agriculture? Have we delivered in MSME? Are we delivering in ICT? Are we delivering housing? Are we delivering universal health care? Are we delivering on infrastructure? Are we delivering in jobs creation?
What's the answer?
Those are things.
What's the answer to all those questions?
That is where we should. That is where we should focus.
What's the answer? You've elaborated. You've highlighted them very well.
Let me tell you.
What's the answer?
If you want the answer, can we all think and focus in that particular space? Government is able to account itself. It wants to do ABCD, but you see, there is what you call political selfishness. So people want to sabotage the individuals in this country.
The Gen Z have no political affiliation.
The Gen Z,
they don't have a political interest.
The Gen Zs have been infiltrated by criminals and political
interests. Let's not talk about infiltration.
That's a fact.
Not about infiltration.
Why?
The whole idea.
Why
are we focusing on the...
If you don't collect revenue,
talking about infiltration,
then government will fail to implement.
Hold.
Government will fail to implement.
The initial idea was for the Gen Z.
The strategy here is to fail for government to fail in delivering. That is the intention. And I don't think we are ready to see government failing in its delivery.
So you are telling me there's a political. You are telling me there's some political hand in this.
Of course there is. Of course.
Can you authenticate
common
that?
Knowledge.
Can you authenticate that?
Common knowledge. There is.
Who are they?
There is.
Who are they?
Their interest.
Who are they?
You look around. You check. Look around. Look around. When you see criminals infiltrating and doing all those type of things and getting in and banning property inside parliament, banning. You know, in this democratic era, we cannot imagine that a Kenyan can ban any asset, even this newspaper, to ban this newspaper in rage. You cannot do that.
What does that really symbolize?
And so,
before you continue, what does that symbolize? When the protesters, broke barriers and went into parliament, it was complete mayhem.
No, don't justify. You cannot justify.
I'm not justifying anything,
justify
Mr. Sossion. I'm not justifying anything. I'm just asking a question.
You can't justify. You can't justify. What it means is that these criminal gangs, those who are infiltrating, and those who are interested in stopping the finance bill, they knew they had lost. And that is why they're using extra violent means to try and stop the finance bill.
Okay.
But you see, that will not work.
What do you think?
What I want, what I'm talking about is that Kenyans should shift the debate to accountability, to proper delivery of programs, to fight on corruption, and we need to be very specific and accurate and point out where are we having corruption and wastage in our economy. And are we having, we should now be able to audit the CDF funding. What is the CDF doing in constituencies? Are they being wasted? Are they being put into good use? Is there delivery of programs and projects at the CDF? That is what we need. At the county level, how much wastage do we witness?
You know,
one
interesting thing, Mr. Sossion,
national,
is
the same thing. That is where we should shift our debate.
Thank you.
To deliver.
Thank you.
So that every year, right now, we should be talking about the 2.3 trillion that was collected through
and I have
the
so many questions to ask
Act
you.
Of last year.
I have so many questions to ask you. I hear you. The East Africa community had their budget ready for the next financial year. We've not seen any mayhem across those jurisdictions. Why Kenya?
Why Kenya? Kenya is a vibrant democracy. That is one. And it's one of the strongest democracies in the world. The only mistake we make is that we interfere with peaceful processes like picketing and demonstrating. It is unique to Kenya in East Africa. You can't demonstrate easily in Uganda and all these other countries. The level of democracy is far much below ours. And even the public doesn't bother with the budgets that are read. The public in those countries, they don't participate in the budget making process like we do in Kenya. Here, it's an open democracy. It is the power of the people. But then it is being abused by these violent entities that are trying to hijack a rather good cause of young Kenyans who are speaking out, who understand the provisions of their constitution. So don't think Kenya is badly off and those other countries are good. Their level of democracy is so low and people's participation is extremely low. Kenyan democracy is vibrant and people's participation is allowed. The only thing we need to do is to run our affairs within legal and constitutional means. There would be nothing wrong if the Gen Zs or any other demonstrator would picket around Parliament, submit petitions, they will be heard. If you come with documents and volumes, even with a lorry to Parliament, they will be delivered to Parliament. And those documents will be respected. They will be analyzed and treated. That is how far we have gone.
Okay.
In this country, let us do everything, but minus violence. We can demonstrate in all the 47 counties, shout anything, express yourselves, but with no violence. If that was done, there would be no problem. So, Victor, Kenyan democracy is one of the most vibrant in the world. That is why you will see Kenyans speaking about everything. Did you ever think that finance bill would be a big debate every year? Every year. Even next year, there will be another finance bill.
There will be another one. But why is it not so easy or possible to make it predictable?
It is extremely predictable. It is. Because you've talked about the finance bill of last year. How much did it raise? 2.3 trillion. And we can look at that act. It's a finance act. It has been operating for the last 1 year. It will cease to operate once the president assents to the new bill into law. And so it is not mysterious. It is known. And the good thing is, with this conversation and with more Kenyans getting involved, the literate groups of Kenyans, and even the Gen Zs, they know this finance bill will create jobs for us. They can connect. You can now connect the provisions of the finance bill with what it will do. I am sure this conversation will stabilize at a point of acceptable equilibrium of then now, because the way I look at it, empirically and scientifically, we are moving now to the next level of what is the money being collected doing, how much has been collected, and are there wastages? Where are the points of wastages? Who are wasting? What should we do about those who are wasting? What is the responsibility of what is the responsibility of the president in superintending our affairs, including collection of revenue and implementation of budget programs? And that is why you see people are not mentioning anybody else.
Allow me to ask this question, and I'm not saying that you speak on behalf of the president, but what do you think is running through his mind? After 9 p.m., the speech and all that. So what do you think is running through his mind? What do you think is on his table as we speak?
You know, I cannot answer that question, Victor, because you see, you want to read the president's mind through me.
You're not his spokesperson.
I'm an ordinary Kenyan. I'm part of Kenya Kwanza administration, and I'm part of the development agenda to transform this country within the Kenya Kwanza framework. And what I know the president is very keen about is to deliver on what he promised Kenyans. That is what is dear to him. This is a president who would always want to keep his word and who would always want to keep his promise. He promised Kenyans to deliver on its own manifesto. That is what he called the plan.
Yes.
And it's very specific. And he's very keen to do that. He promised to free Kenyan from the debt distress. Because all this, most of this money being collected is going to the Dennis. The money that was borrowed, and we did not see what it did in terms of trillions. So we must free the country from the debt distress. And we must also deliver the development agenda. We must deliver the social services. And as you can see, tell me, which president in this country has hired 46,000 teachers in just one finance bill on permanent and pensionable terms? Tell me. Not Jomo Kenyatta, not Moi, not Kibaki, not Uhuru. Uhuru could hire only maximum of 5,000 teachers on permanent and pensionable every year. 5,000. But William Ruto is employing 46,000 from 1st of July on permanent and pensionable terms, and onboarding another 20,000. I mean, even before the Almighty God and all the good angels, those who are trying to demonize the good work and the good intentions and promises of the president are not doing the right thing. I can tell you, every minute, we don't need to call the president or even talk with him. We know what he wants for the country, to implement what he promised. And Kenyans voted on that document on 9th of August. And that is the philosophy of the president, and it will be delivered. He's not bothered. He's not going to be dissuaded.
Let's flip it
but
this way.
He's going to listen to Kenyans. He's going to listen to Gen Zs.
No doubt about that.
Let me tell you, the president is one person
yes,
who believes in the younger generation.
No doubt about that.
Really believes it. Even in the political space, he believes
personally,
in mentoring
I have
young
witnessed
leaders.
that. But let me ask you this question.
Even going into the future,
Yes.
he believes in. That is why do you think he's employing, for example, 46,000 teachers?
Very well. Before I answer
because
that,
he knows the children in class
before you
deserve
answer
the
that,
best.
what if we flipped this the other way around? What if he stopped it? What do you think would have happened? Let's talk about, the revenue collection and running the affairs of the government, politically speaking, and now coming to where we are right now, and even everything that transpired yesterday. What if?
We cannot procrastinate in the development agenda of this country. We must do things with urgency. We must deliver. We must change this country. We don't have luxury of time to engage.
And do you think there are options?
No.
Do you think there are options? I believe you know. There are options to deliver development.
Well, even if there are options, those options should have been rendered by those who have those particular options at the public participation stage. Because look at the process. The president is not part of it. The finance bill is generated by the Treasury. The president doesn't reside in the treasury, and it is handed over to the finance committee of the National Assembly. Yeah? The president doesn't sit in that committee, and it is processed through public participation, and eventually it is debated after the second reading, and it is voted for in the second reading. It goes to the committee of the whole, where every clause of the bill is debated and voted for. And any member of parliament, the 349 of them, who represent the people of Kenya, everywhere, will recommend amendments on each clause. So the bill is not cast in stone. It's supposed to be subjected to amendments. And the members of parliament who are drawing salaries from the exchequer and from the citizens. And I don't see any reason why a member of parliament would leave his responsibility of executing his duties in parliament, which he has been given and protected to do so, to abdicate their responsibilities and come and pretend to gloriously demonstrate and lead demonstrators in the streets. No, that is not the right thing. So I think this process has been done, and it's not a question of, oh, why can't you postpone it? Why can't you do it? Why can't you look at it again? We'll be wasting time. That is what I've said, procrastination. You are not moving forward. The most important thing, take a decision, and if there were options, those options should have been considered. And if you look at the bill itself, it has gone through various amendments. Some of the tax proposals have been dropped. Indeed, they have been dropped. A lot of views have been considered from Kenyans. What else do you do if that has been done? So you cannot allow...
Let's take a break.
You cannot allow individuals who don't have interest in the development agenda, they don't have interest in education, like me. Do you want me to imagine that these 46,000 teachers will not be employed? They will not be in the classroom. It cannot be postponed.
I know you want them.
I want them to be in class like yesterday and to be paid well like yesterday. And the president has said, let it be done. And if the president has said, let it be done, who is this who wants to stop it?
And who are you to stop a break? Mr. Sosion, who are you to stop a break? Let's take a break.
I will not stop a break. You can take the break.
We have done it. Who are you to stop us from taking a break? Nobody. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
Unajua, token mita yako inahitaji system update. Ni rahisi na ni free. Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani SMS, weka kodi ya kwanza kureset, alafu weke kodi ya pili kuupdate. Update token mita yako. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu.
I'm Nadia Said Chef Kenboy. I am 10 years old and my talent is to model. I realized I am in fashion when mom started taking me out for fashion.
Komando, komando, kwambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Kimwa TV, tibiwa ishi poa.
The Global Peace Foundation and the Interreligious Council of Kenya and other co-conveners will host the Global Peace Leadership Conference Africa 2024 in Nairobi. The conference will kick off with a tree planting exercise at Konza Metropolis on Tuesday, June 25th, led by Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service Felix Koskei alongside the Cabinet Secretary for Environment Soipan Tuya. On Wednesday, June the 26th, President William Ruto will officially open the conference, initiating discussions on peace, development, and cooperation under the theme One Family Under God, empowering African Renaissance as a global catalyst for freedom, peace, and sustainable development. GPLC Africa 2024 will inspire and empower us all. Join us at GPLC Africa 2024 in Nairobi from June the 25th to the 27th at the Radisson Blu Hotel, Upper Hill. Register now at gplcafrica.org/registration. Together, we can lead the way to a more peaceful and prosperous future.
Let me not repeat myself.
You don't have to repeat yourself. The spirit has refused.
Josephine Kamede.
Of this year, huh? Yani, you mean you are not paying rent because you want just to please a woman? Laugh, my brother. Laugh is a beautiful thing.
You do, guys. You have to put stop to this. You are constant eating. And just clean this glass few minutes, and you already so in it. Mumelongwa.
At least she's genuine about her feelings, unlike some watops here rejoicing chini kwa chini.
Welcome back. All right, so before we took a break, Mheshimiwa Sosion here, I wanted to ask you a question. The question of different entities and organizations and even some bodies coming out to say, the finance bill should be stopped at some point. The church also spoke about it, FKE spoke about it, and, many other people. But it had to go either way. So where are we now at this particular point, in as far as this is concerned? The president is just waiting for it to get on this table and it will be an act of law.
Yes, the whole bravado around the finance bill has been misinformed, was actually misinformed. And the legitimate issues on specific clauses was raised. And once issues are raised on particular clauses which were addressed by the committee and they have been addressed, why then again do you want the same finance bill to be withdrawn? That is putting the country in a crisis. Those who don't understand governance will find it very easy to call for its withdrawal. The operations of government cannot be postponed. The programs that are intended to be implemented are time-bound. They must begin at a certain time and be concluded at a certain time. So the various bodies, FKE and the churches, and of course FKE, Kenya Private Association, these are profit makers. And this taxation, the finance bill, is not going to spare profit makers. Their profits will definitely shrink. That's a fact. And if it is going to shrink, they're not happy about it. Those who will feel the pinch of the taxation will definitely make a lot of noise. The ordinary citizen, the people at the bottom of the pyramid, who will receive the services of this revenue, have not been subjected to a lot of taxation. Because when you look at the spread out, it is going to tax the middle class and the top class mostly. And if you look at the principle of taxation, in a very fair manner, fair taxation will shift the burden of taxation to those at the top, the rich, the manufacturers, and the middle class, and less on the bottom class. In fact, those at the bottom sometimes they receive even government compensation. Like when you go to healthcare, those who can pay NHI will be paid for by the government through this same budget. That is how it is structured. And so those bodies who are making noise, they've got to be very, very honest about it. Do they have any other option of government raising revenue to finance the budget and deliver services? No. And government will only respond to legal and constitutional processes. And legal and constitutional processes, it says in the budget making process, there will be public participation window opportunity.
Okay.
And that was given. And the public participation is not a referendum. It's not a referendum to say, those of us who assuming there are 400 submissions from the public, and out of those 400, 399 are against. It doesn't mean the committee of parliament will go by the 399. No, it is not obligated. It is a merit of the arguments which will convince the committee. So if you did not give convincing arguments on the clauses, the various clauses of the finance bill, so you should shut up and wait for next year.
What do you think?
That cannot be stopped.
Yes.
The process cannot be stopped. And in fact, right now, the president should ascend it as quickly as possible into law and outline to the public what the revenues will do. I think we are opening a new chapter that now Kenyans want to understand how this money is collected, and Kenyans want to understand how it is expended in the budget. And that is why it is now important to open a chapter and carry Kenyans along on the budget tracking process. That the money that went to education,
Thank you.
That went to education.
Yes.
Were 46,000 teachers really employed? Are they there? The free education, what is the money doing? Is there quality work in the classroom? And all that.
During President's speech, he said that today's events mark a critical point in how we respond to threats to national security. As you answer that, let me ask you this. What do you think is going to be the political situation moving forward? How has it changed the political landscape, the events that we saw yesterday and even days before?
No, the president has said critical turning point, not critical point.
Critical turning point.
Turning point. When you talk of a turning point, it means the approach will be different. The approach to national security will be different. And the national security operates within the parameters of the law. It doesn't operate within whims and feelings and emotions of individuals. It is a law. How the law is going to be applied and how the law is going to be enforced shall be different. And how that is going to be done, it shall be done in a manner that secures life and that secures property. I think that is what the president meant. So he's not saying anything new. I think if there's been a lot of leniency in terms of demonstrations, in terms of picketing, and you've said there were 47 counties, there were demonstrations. But if indeed there is information that these demonstrations are hijacked by criminals and individuals with vested interest who take advantage to prosecute, to execute violence and destruction of property. You have seen the destruction of property in Parliament. The media center is destroyed, including property. And if that is destroyed, what crime did the equipment in Parliament commit?
You know, you make me to ask you this question. If there were finances, even the president said, in part of his speech, he said, as you respond to that, the president said that the manner in which the whole of these planes, he said that the planners, and I'll get to that very brief. But as you talk about that, as I get that speed of this part of the speech, if they are planners and financiers of whatever happened, with all the security apparatus and intelligence that they have in the country, this has been boiling over a couple of weeks now. Why didn't anybody take action before we got to where we got yesterday?
I don't sit in the security sector of the country. But the fundamental fact as of yesterday is that of violent actions in the demonstrations. So when demonstrations turns into violence, it ceases to meet the thresholds of Article 37 of being peaceful. Mm-hmm. And of course the state cannot stop demonstration. It can't. And they said so. Kithure Kindiki spoke very clearly that you demonstrate. And we saw the minister speaking clearly that you are free to demonstrate up to exactly 6:30, but do it peacefully. That was the minister of government speaking. Because we cannot stop what is provided in the Constitution. And he said, do it peacefully. And when he said, do it peacefully, he did not say, engage in violence. I think the message was clear. Government communicated, and government facilitated, and even provided security in different areas to control the crowds and to guide. But it was infiltrated. That was not envisaged. The security machinery of the country, even the NIS, are not angels. They are human beings. You may not be able to detect everything. And tell me, Victor, we've known Parliament has been respected. The President is the most respected entity within Kenya. Who are these who pull down the perimeter fence of Parliament?
The protesters.
No. It's not just by the time you pull down, then you are a criminal, you are not a protester. You become a criminal. You are not a protester. You pull down, get into Parliament, destroy property, but if you get into Parliament and picket, assuming that was done, that would be a different thing. So really, I want us to have a dichotomy between violence and peaceful means, between what should have been done and what should not have been done. This picture of violence and actions of violence, you don't expect the security agencies to clap and entertain individuals violating the law. So what the president has said, it marks the turning point.
Yes.
That means there will be no more exceptions.
And here's the statement from the president. Allow me to read it. As I assure the nation of government, as I assure the nation of the government's determination to fulfill its constitutional duty of protecting the people of Kenya against any form of harm, I hereby put on notice the planners, financiers, orchestrators, and abettors of violence and anarchy that the security infrastructure established to protect our republic and its sovereignty will be deployed to secure the country and restore normalcy. That
now you can see the planners and financiers. Don't tell Kenyans that there is no leadership in this. There is. There is. Those financing, those planning. We know there is. And in the fullness of time, it will be known. The Gen Zs are genuine.
Okay.
But
very well. So what do you think is the face of Kenya out to the international community? We saw other countries, the US give their statement, UK also gave their statement, and some other countries also gave their statement as far as this is concerned. How do you think the image of Kenya is being shown out there, having in mind that we play a key role in our international platform as well?
Well, the image is dented with violence. No country can be proud or can be respected anywhere if it is inflicted by violence or if there is violence. It's not the best of things that I can tell you for free. But if there were peaceful demonstrations, people picketing, that would be the best thing. It would be the best story. We'll score very well globally. We have scored a lot. We've got a lot of scores in terms of democracy. But we ruin it by having this denting, using violence activities. And this is where the planners come in, the financiers, it is known. And this is a fact. It's a very sorry thing, Victor, that some people sponsor crimes to bring down the country instead of supporting democratic processes to develop the country. And these are facts. From the context of the president's speech, we should be able to flag out issues that are very critical and concerning. And as you can see, planners and financiers, they are there. And the president has said this marks a critical turning point it will be. And so even if they say they are coming every week, every week or every day, it is possible in Kenya to demonstrate anytime you want, provided you notify the police. But the constitution says peacefully. So the moment you do something outside the peaceful, the clothes, peacefully and unarmed, peacefully and unarmed, it's clear. So you don't skip those provisions. The moment you skip, it becomes criminal activities that require dealing with it with the
very well. The protesters, or the organizers who call themselves the Gen Zs, they have said they are going to continue. So what do you think is going to soften their stance? Or would soften their stance?
The president has not said there will be no demonstrations. Has he said so?
Not?
He has not. If they will be there, it will be within the constitution.
I'm talking about the Gen Z. So what do you think is going to soften their stance?
I can't speak for them, for the Gen Zs, honestly. But the president has said they will be engaged.
There's a conversation.
Even in this statement, they will be engaged. True, and they will be engaged. That I can tell you. I don't lie. I believe in it. And I know what the president says, he means it. He is not trying to pacify and massage for the sake of it. The president is so committed in the youth. And I've said, if you look at it in the political space, he is always very keen in mentoring young political leaders. And when these Gen Zs have come out, these are young Kenyans with lots of aspirations. These are the people who will lead Kenya tomorrow.
So what would be the solution?
They will be engaged within the framework of the law. Within the framework of government, and within the framework of the aspirations of those Gen Zs.
What do you think would be part of the conversation, at least to give them that hope? Because as it says,
I think the most important thing is the pronouncement of the president of commitment to engage. That's enough. Once there is commitment to engage, then the next thing will be, how do you do it? What are the existing government infrastructure that will do that? There's a Ministry of Youth and Gender Affairs, so youth affairs. These Gen Zs are the youth of this country. And so we are not reinventing the wheel in terms of how to deal with them and their challenges. It's a matter of we've got to energize and focus more on them. When we talk of unemployment, it affects them.
Because we're running out of time. How do you think this thing has changed the entire political landscape moving forward?
Moving forward, what has come out very clearly is that the young generation aspire for a very good country. That's a good. The young generation, they aspire for a good country, and they're not going to be bystanders. This country has to be run honestly within the constitution and the law, which the president is doing and has committed to do so. And that is why he will have to sign the finance bill into law without being intimidated from any quarter, and continue running government and address urgent issues that touches on the youth unemployment, job creation, economic recovery, extricating the country from the debt distress, implementing the budget, and implementing the key pillars of his agenda, that of reforming agriculture, strengthening micro, small, medium enterprise. Those are spaces where there are jobs and creation and manufacturing.
So there is hope.
ICT.
So there is hope.
A lot of hope.
Okay. Mr. Sion, I want you to do something.
So the product of all this conflict will be a happy ending.
Your camera is
cameraman. We shall have a better Kenya.
Your camera is cameraman. You are a teacher by profession. Assume you're talking to your students, you're talking to your kids, you're talking to your son or your daughter. That is your camera, and I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm going to give you 30 seconds and talk to them. Go ahead. That is your camera.
Rise to the occasion and let us not destroy Kenya. Work with the president. The president means well for all the youth of this country, and the government means well. Your space and your right for employment and the right to participate in nation building is guaranteed, and the president and his government will engage you in broad, deep and robust conversation on your interest and the interest of the nation.
Thank you. I think that's the best way for us to wrap it up. If I added anything, I would spoil the froth. Thank you, Mheshimiwa Wilson Sossion. Former NAT Secretary General, is a long-standing teacher with a lot of experience. CAS?
Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife.
Asante sana for coming.
The Kenya Kwanza administration.
Let's be peaceful wherever we are. Let's remain peaceful wherever we are. Let's remain peaceful wherever we are. I repeat, there is somebody called Aristotle. One of the Aristotle golden mean rules say that in everything you do, always exercise moderation, right? Let's do it with moderation. I'm Victor Lowe. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
John Cheruyot's education journey ended after completing his A-level examination at Kakamega High School in 1971, where he was a loyal member of the Christian Union. His journey in politics would begin when the late Ezekiel Baringetuni, the then Nandi Kingpin, would recommend him to replace the then National Assembly Speaker, Samuel Arap Ngeni, who appeared to have had a fallout with the government. Cheruyot had an added advantage as he was the son of Ezekiel Birek, the head of the African Inland Church, where the late President Moi was an ardent worshipper. This would expose him to the field of politics from business, and in 1988 he was elected Aldai Member of Parliament through the infamous Mlolongo political system. Unknown to many, Cheruyot became the minister after his Tinderet counterpart was sacked hardly 9 months after assuming office as Minister for Commerce. Cheruyot would go ahead to serve as minister for 4 years from 1988 to 1992. At that time, the Commissioner for Cooperatives, Raymond Bomet, had more political clout than the minister. In many instances, Bomet executed his mandate without consulting him, with serious implications in some instances. Bomet, who enjoyed unfettered access to the then president, could make decisions like dissolving cooperative boards without informing the minister. It was during Cheruyot's tenure that several cooperative societies and unions went under, largely due to undue political pressure. In 1992, he lost his Aldai parliamentary seat to Paul Titi. In 1993, he was appointed Rivertex Limited chairman before he disappeared into political obscurity. In 2015, a Nairobi court jailed him for 6 years for failing to pay a 20-year-old outstanding debt of 2 million shillings, of which 1.6 million shillings was interest. He successfully appealed and the jail term was suspended. Today, Cheruiyot's presence is felt more in nostalgic reminiscence than in the political arena. He would retreat to his family farm after departing from the murky political landscape to a quiet life after a journey that was marked by both triumph and tribulations. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet. Geoffrey Mapukori Parpai attended DEB Loitoktok Primary School and then Kajiado Secondary School before joining the Kenya Institute of Administration, later renamed Kenya School of Government. An accountant by training, Parpai had in 1982 become clerk of the Town Council of Kajiado, where he worked until 1992 when he entered competitive politics. Aged 35, Parpai was working as a clerk to the Town Council of Kajiado. If he was to have any chances of making it in Kajiado politics, Parpai realized he needed to align himself with either of the two most powerful Maasai political figures in Kajiado. That included John Keane, who was in the Democratic Party of Kenya, headed by former Vice President Mwai Kibaki, or Professor George Saitoti, who was the Vice President, and in the Kenya African National Union KANU, headed by President Daniel Arap Moi. Parpai contested the Kajiado South parliamentary seat in 1992 on a DP ticket, but lost to KANU's party candidate Philip Lampart Singaru. Despite Parpai's losing, it was clear the newly formed Democratic Party had stamped its authority in the Maasai land, and so was its presidential candidate Mwai Kibaki. Parpai had also emerged as a leader to watch in Kajiado politics and earned the respect of the main players in the party. During the 1997 campaigns, Parpai organized major rallies for the Democratic Party in Kajiado, and he won the Kajiado South seat by polling 13,798 votes against Singaru's 10,232. However, prior to the elections, Parpai had defected from DP to KANU, albeit for a short time, hoping to co-sign Singaru to political oblivion in the party primaries. And he almost succeeded being declared the winner in the KANU nominations by the returning officer after garnering 8,884 votes to Singaru's 8,659 and Oloitiptip 2,500. But these results were nullified following demonstrations and an ultimatum issued by Singaru, who threatened to defect to the opposition. KANU Secretary General Joseph Kemotho and Vice President Saitoti convinced President Moi that supporting Singaru would save the party in Kajiado. So in the repeat nomination exercise, Parpai's papers were rejected, with KANU arguing that he failed the language proficiency test. Parpai defected back to DP, and after convincing the electorate that KANU had interfered with KANU nominations, he won the Kajiado South seat.
kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu. Labda ni TB ni ugonjwa wa kweli, ukipimwa matibabu yapo utapona. Daktari kushauri tumia dawa kwa nidhamu, elimu tupashane tupige vita TB. Mwa TB waishi poa.
This World Blood Donor Day, join us in celebrating 20 years of giving. Thanks to blood donors, I'm here today. Your donations gave me a second chance. This message is brought to you by the Kenya Blood Transfusion and Transplant Service.
Since the invention of internet decades ago, the digital space has increasingly evolved. With this, teaching children basic computer skills has become important.
We live in a highly competitive world that is on the cusp of a digital revolution. This new world demands that our children are armed with the right skills that empower them to competently navigate the rapidly changing work environment. And to prepare them for the global stage, we have to introduce our children to the right digital tools at a very early age.
Kenya has placed considerable emphasis on the importance of ICT in its education sector support program. The Ministry of Education has taken steps to support the implementation of the strategy, either by direct action or through the various institutions and agencies with which it works. In addition, there are many other organizations not involved directly with the Ministry of Education that continue to be active in implementing and supporting projects involving ICT in education. There has been substantial evidence around the world that technology has become one of the most important and vital components to the success of a child's education. Although Kenya is known as the Silicon Savannah, this status needs continued pacing with technological innovation and stronger digital foundations. Scaling digital skills at primary, secondary, and tertiary education levels is a huge part of widening tech adoption and growing a lucrative digital economy. It can also help narrow the rural and urban development divide that limits collective advancement. In line with its bottom-up economic transformation agenda that emphasizes on the digital economy, the government launched the coding and computer programming curriculum for public schools through the syllabus approved by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD, and created in partnership with Codris Africa, an education technologies firm under the National Digital Master Plan. This will contribute to improving digital literacy among the youth and equip them with the necessary skills to compete in the digital economy. However, implementing digital literacy education in areas such as informal settlements presents substantial challenges. Kibera is an informal settlement. Rampant poverty in the Kibera slum is the source of numerous grievances and foundational inadequacies. Factors such as gender discrimination, crime, widespread unemployment, and inaccessible electricity feed the continuation of poor conditions in the slum. This does not allow them to acquire computer literacy despite their average level of formal education, as there is no money to pay for their training costs. This makes it difficult for them to be competitive in the labor market.
One organization in the informal settlements of Kibera has taken an initiative of teaching kids basic coding skills.
One, Renis Owino, has taken the initiative to eradicate digital illiteracy by teaching children in Kibera slums basic coding and computer-based skills.
Back in 2010, I lost my mom, and my dad, after the battle, my dad felt like since I was close to my mom, I needed a mother figure in my life, and he had suggestions of me coming to stay with my aunt for a while so that I don't, to try and fill in the gap. So back home, I was allowed to go to the cyber. All the cybers were like friendly. You could just go to the cyber and use it. But when I came to Kibera, it was different. The cybers were male-dominated. And, you know, as a young girl going to a cyber which is full of men, it gave a different narrative to the community. So it wasn't me going to the cybers, I was being judged, and I wasn't even feeling comfortable in the cybers. So I sat down and thought, what if I created a place where girls could just come and browse and use the internet without being judged with the community or feeling threatened? Yeah, so I went back to school and the dream did not end. So after I completed my high school, I joined Nairobi Aviation College. My dad requested me to go and do just a simple course. Since I had done computer in high school, so my dad told me, as I was waiting for him to get more funds for me to join uni, it will be a great idea for me to do computer course at Nairobi Aviation. So I went and I did not enroll into a certificate program. I enrolled into a diploma. I did a diploma in ICT, and I focused, my main course was programming. That was something I focused on. Later on, during my college years, during my college period, I had female lecturers who were programmers, and this really made me feel nice about it. And now I started going back to my initial dream, creating a space where girls could just use computers.
Code with kids started as code with girls. But for Renis, she saw the importance of including boys also into the program to bring equality.
I started code with girls. Initially, it was code with girls, where I felt like since I was in college, we had still less number of females doing ICT, and I was like, if I start this code with girls and start teaching girls at a young age, by the time they're joining uni, they'll be comfortable in taking up such courses. When I started this again, I found so many challenges with code with girls, because the girls that I was targeting, the girls that I was teaching, sometimes they couldn't come for the sessions because I was doing it at Katokera in my aunt's place. They couldn't come for the session because either one, they were doing dishes, they were doing laundry, they were taking care of their siblings, and this became a challenge. And then I saw the problem I'm trying to solve is to bring more girls into ICT and to make everybody know that tech is not only for boys and men. Then I realized if I am to solve this problem, then I have to include both boys and girls in the same sessions.
For Renis, teaching these kids how to do basic coding skills is preparing them for the future even as we head towards a technological world. Being an informal settlement where illiteracy might be high, some parents may not really understand what this program entails. With the recent form of education, competency-based curriculum, CBC, schools are now required to at least teach children basic computer skills. Code with Kids has partnered with some schools in Kibera to enhance this.
Currently, we offer after-school programs to different schools in Kibera. We have Soweto Junior Academy, where we train their young learners. So for Soweto, we work with kids from PP1, that is their PP1 until grade 4. We have Blessed Hope, where we focus on grade 5 and grade 6. We have Kibera High School, where we train the high schoolers. We have Raila High School, where we train the high schoolers as well. Apart from that, we work with an organization called Smart Kibera of Hope, where we train their beneficiaries in science, technology, engineering, and math. One of the laptops that we use here is called the Kano PC. These are really child-friendly computers. They are touchscreen. They come with detachable keyboard, and it's easy to set. So here, it's like the motherboard of the laptop. It comes with a power. So if you want to use it, you have to connect the power. It's simple and easy to assemble, so very child-friendly. This is the speaker. So you just connect it, and then it has a clear casing. So this has really helped us as Code with Kids when we are training the kids how our computer works. We show them the different components that it consists of, and then it has this clear casing that also allows the kids to just look at it through here. So it's very easy to assemble. So once you've assembled it, it can be used like this as a tablet. But for us, we always encourage the kids to attach it to the keyboard so that it's easier for them to use. So this is it's set like this. It's completely set like this.
Code Day is a non-profit providing welcoming and diverse opportunities for underserved students to explore a future in tech and beyond. Code with Kids celebrated this day by inviting several students from Kibera to learn coding skills. This includes Scratch program, robotics, and Python.
Nilianza na Tinka yenye natufunza kwanza kucode. Kaenda Scratch. Sai robotics. Ni fun, yeah. I've learned how to use the Scratch app, whereby I can make stories and games by myself.
Blessed Hope Child Center is one of the beneficiary schools that Code with Kids offers after-school program to the students. John Owok, a teacher, explains the importance of this program to their students.
Coding has really been of help, to our institution, because it has broken the monotony that we've had of learners constantly being in class and doing the same thing over and over again, but also getting out the best of the learners in terms of improving their social interaction, their group engagements. So we feel that with coding, it has brought some level of cohesion within the learners and them understanding each other by their abilities and supporting each other in the process, but also allowing them to appreciate each other.
Mama Patricia has seen much improvement in her daughter since she started learning how to code.
As advice wazazi waache watoto wao, especially kama wako maybe midterm holidays, wako wakienda hiyo kucode ama coding, naona inasaidia watoto wengi sana.
Salome Ratemo, a volunteer at Code with Kids, emphasizes on the importance to teaching coding skills.
My advice to the parents is to allow your kids to join coding-related clubs.
especially girls, since the tech is presumed to be a male-dominated field.
Implementing digital literacy in Kenya's education system is essential to prepare students for the future workforce. To ensure that all students have access to digital literacy education, the government must invest in infrastructure and teacher training. Additionally, private sector partnerships and technology integration can further enhance digital literacy in Kenya's education system. By working together, we can equip all students with the skills they need to thrive in the digital age.
For these kids, learning how to code is a sign that the future is bright. Like they say at Code with Kids, there's a place in tech for everyone.
In every month, any female from the age of 12 ideally goes through dysmenorrhea, commonly known as menstruation. It is a season characterized by joint pain, headaches, abdominal cramps, and blood loss.
Menstruation or menstrual pain, they go hand in hand together. Menstruation, just for those who don't understand what I'm talking about, it's that process of blood that flows in a reproductive aged woman, maybe say from 18 to about 60 years, and it comes monthly.
There are two types of dysmenorrhea. We have the primary dysmenorrhea and the secondary dysmenorrhea. So the primary dysmenorrhea, this is a normal period pain. This is fine. But the secondary dysmenorrhea is when now we have endometriosis, fibroids, things like that.
Now the pain that comes because of that menstruation is what we call menstrual pain, but in the medical field we call it dysmenorrhea.
The average length of menstruation period is usually 3 to 7 days. Different women exhibit different symptoms during this season.
Periods are different each cycle. So in terms of flow, color, consistency, it's all different in each cycle and for each person.
Generally, pain in itself is classified as mild, moderate, or severe. According to medical practitioners, anyone who has menstrual pain, the discomfort should not hinder them from performing their daily duties.
For example, if you're doing an exam, you should be able to still do the exam. If you are washing dishes, you could still be able to wash your dishes. However, you would be having some pain associated to that.
Personally, for me, normal pain is when I'm able to go about my day, doing whatever I'm supposed to be doing, while still undergoing my pain and my periods.
In abnormal cases, pain exceeds the expected threshold, making it impossible for one to carry out their daily activities for several days in a month.
So physically, we'll be talking about somebody who is having excruciating pain. Probably they would have to be leaning forward. They would be in a state that we can say they're a bit maybe disoriented. You're talking to them, they're not even able to talk back to you. And also for the woman internally, you'll just be considering this pain as it's out of the usual. So it's not pain that you can handle.
Some of them, you can imagine, someone is in class and you can't even, someone is in university and during class you can't even focus because it is so painful. Some will even miss classes. It's that bad.
If you are washing dishes, you could still be able to wash your dishes. However, you would be having some pain associated to that. So anything out of that, you're not able to carry on with your day-to-day activities, then we would consider it as abnormal.
Realizing the gap between health and technology, Peter Arena, a renowned health entrepreneur and co-founder of Swift Wellness Center, invented a machine to relieve menstrual pain. Mr. Peter Arena was motivated by his female friend who was going through severe pain during her menses.
I was with one of my lady friends and they were going through some painful period pain. It was so painful. So I just decided, let me go deep into period pain because actually she was trying painkillers. It wasn't working. You know, painkillers at times, it has these side effects. So she tried painkillers. It wasn't that effective. There's also hot water bottles. But you know, with hot water bottles, it's a bit big, you know, it's a bit, so even you can imagine you're a lady and you're walking in town, you can't place a hot water bottle and walk with it.
According to Peter Arena, the Jolly device was invented in collaboration with gynecologists, internal medical doctors, and engineers for women going through menstrual pain.
There, what we did is, after doing some research, we actually gathered the right people and the right team, engineers, doctors, the specialists. We got the right team, the right management, and then from there, that's when now Jolly started picking from there. Yeah.
So Jolly device, it's a TENS device. TENS is an acronym. So what TENS stands for is a transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation device.
The device inhibits the message of menstrual pain from reaching the brain through an interruption of pain impulses using the principle of gateway control theory found in medicine.
And how does it do that? Maybe let me explain it in a simpler way for you to understand. And I can give you an example. Supposing you hit your finger. How do you know you have pain? There's a message that will be sent from the finger to your brain and back from the brain to your finger. And then that's what tells you I have pain, or I've hurt myself and I have pain. So period pain is equally the same. You have pain in the uterine area because of the uterine contractions, and there's a message that is sent to the brain, and the brain brings back that response. Hey, I have low abdominal pain, I have lower back pain. And what transmits these messages is in a form of electrical impulses. So the TENS machine, what it does, it inhibits those messages from reaching the brain.
So Jolly device actually uses the same concept, but now in medicine it uses a science called gateway control theory, whereby once you place it, the external pain travels faster than the internal pain.
Each Jolly device comes with electrodes, and the user is required to place the electrodes on her abdomen to relieve menstrual pain.
So once you place it, you actually place it where the pain is. So once you place it, it will produce a pain impulse, which at the end of the day, let's say when you're having pain, when you're having pain, have you ever like burnt your finger?
Yeah.
So have you ever noticed that anytime you burn your finger on this side, you'll rub it here. What normally happens? You'll feel relieved. So as the pain goes up, the external pain, the regulated impulse produced from this device is able to travel faster than the internal pain within the body, thus disrupting the pain. That's the point whereby that's the point whereby the pain will not reach the brain.
So these the electrodes and the Jolly device. So you attach the Jolly to the electrodes. As simple as that. Peel the cover. Place it on your lower abdomen. You switch it on to increase impulses. This is the positive sign. To decrease them here and
Unajua, token mita yako inahitaji system update. Ni rahisi na ni free. Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani SMS, weka kodi ya kwanza ku reset, alafu weke kodi ya pili ku update. Update token mita yako. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alisema kuwa siku hizi 10 za kwanza za mwezi wa Dhulhijja ni siku ambazo ni bora kabisa katika masiku yote katika dunia.
Kinachopendekezwa ni kuwa sisi wenyewe tuwe ni wenye kusoma na kurejelea kwa kusoma zile takbirati za Eid.
mwa TB, TB waishi poa.
Let me not repeat myself.
You don't have to repeat yourself. The spirit has refused.
Josephine Kamene. This year, huh? Yani, you mean you are not paying rent because you want just to please a woman? Laugh, my brother. Laugh is a beautiful thing.
You two guys, you have to put stop to this. You are constant eating. I just cleaned this class few minutes ago, and you already soiling it. Mumelongwa.
At least she's genuine about her feelings, unlike some watops here rejoicing chini kwa chini.
Viongozi wakati mwingine huhitajika kufanya maamuzi ya haraka, hasa kwa jambo kama hili. Lakini mimi sikufikiria kama uongozi ni mzigo mkubwa kiasi hiki.
Sasa hii ninavyokuambia dadangu, wacho taratibu. Kalume na Nuru wamekuwa kitu kingi.
Wewe bwana usindanganye.
Tarajia mgeni. Ala, mgeni. Jasiri ama?
Hivi nyanya, mwanamume utafuta nini hasa kwa mwanamke ndio ili ampende kwa mara ya kwanza?
You're still watching Good Morning Kenya, and now I want to take you to Kisumu, where the 7th annual conference for the Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis is happening. It's themed Shaping the Future of Industrialization, and our reporter Wycliffe Okech is on ground, and he is ready to tell us what is happening in that conference. Good morning, Okech, and if you can hear me, tell us what is the latest from that conference.
Well, a very wonderful morning to you, in Nairobi, Mike. It is unusually chilly this morning here in Kisumu, and I believe you can see from the background, this tells you the event for the day. We are having actually the KIPRA, that is the Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, is having its seventh actually regional conference here in the lakeside city or county of Kisumu, and this is an event that is starting today, and it's expected to run all through to 28th of this month. That will be on Friday. That is the point at which it will be wound up. And with me on set, I believe you can see we are having the executive director of KIPRA, that is Dr. Rose Ngugi, who is going to tell us much exactly what regarding this conference, what does it really entail, what is expected out of it in the fullness of time. And this is the 7th one. How far the previous conferences, how have they informed the mandate for which KIPRA is actually expected to do? And just to kick it off, thank you, first of all. Thank you for making time to speak with KBC this morning regarding this auspicious event that is taking place since beginning now, all through to 28th. And starting us off, maybe you just want to tell us, before we get to the conference itself, KIPRA, what is its key mandate for the sake of our viewers?
Good morning. Thanks very much for hosting me this morning in the county of Kisumu. My name is Rose Ngugi. I'm the Executive Director, Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, KIPRA. To start with, I can give you just a brief about our institution. We are a government think tank.
Sure.
We are established by an act of parliament. We were established in 1999, so we are over 25 years old. And we are under the State Department for Economic Planning, which means that our ministry is National Treasury and Economic Planning. The mandate of the institute is spelled out in the KIPRA Act, and one of the key things that we are meant, or the overall that we are meant to do, is to build human and institutional capacities that would support in undertaking research and analysis that would support in advising the government on the development agenda. So the key functions, I can summarize them into three.
Sure.
One of them is capacity building. And in capacity building, we focus our attention on the public policy making process. And we have 3 programs that we run. One of them is what we call the Young Professionals Program, where we bring in youths who are 35 and below years, and they spend 1 whole year at the institute, going through some courses as well as undertaking research. In addition, we have a mentorship program for tertiary institutions. This is both the universities, and right now we've also started visiting TVETs. And the whole idea is to bring back that connection between the academia and the policymakers, letting the academia understand the government agenda, and also how to actually effectively participate in the process, and then letting also the students get an idea of how they can do good public participation, because they all come from different counties, and we know that by the Constitution they are supposed to play a major role. And then the second element is research. So we undertake research that is defined by the current government development agenda. Like now, we have a major focus on the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And with this, we are able to tackle almost everything in the government, whether it is in infrastructure, whether it is in health, or in macroeconomics. All that we do at the Institute. And then the third element is what we call engagement and networking. And with this, we have a mandate to provide platforms for stakeholders to share their views on policy issues, emerging development issues, and that is actually what has brought us to Kisumu, because in the Act we are expected to organize conferences, and these conferences are not necessarily academic in nature, but they are policy in nature, in the sense that we bring stakeholders from private sector, NGOs, government, youth, and we let them have a conversation. And with this conversation, for example, when you have the government, they are able to respond to the issues that the non-state actors are bringing up. And we also have other networks. For example, we work with the county governments, and it's for that reason that we were able to approach the county government of Kisumu to allow us to hold a conference here. Yes.
Wonderful. And speaking of allowing stakeholders also to rope into the policies that shape the country's development agenda. And we understand this is the 7th conference that is organized by KIPRA, and the last one actually happened in the coastal region, and this one is happening in the lakeside region. What is the key objective of the 7th annual conference that is being held in Kisumu?
Yeah, you are very right that this is the 7th conference, and we had the last one in Kilifi. So each year we come up with a theme. That theme may be informed by the emerging policy issue. It could also be prioritized by what we see as the core development path that the government is taking. So if you look at the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, it talks about having value chains. Yeah? Value chains means that you start from agriculture, primary products, and you can add them value, and you can look at the value chain whereby you are not only talking about producing at the farm level, but also asking the question, can you add value through manufacturing, and can you also export or sell your products? Yeah? And that way you are able to capture the 3 key sectors, that is agriculture, industry, and services, because these are the key major sectors. So for this conference, we therefore are focusing ourselves on industrialization. And the reason why we have focused on industrialization is because in a transformation agenda of a country, the expectation is that you are not only doing a primary production, but you are also able to bring in a processing. At the same time, when you think about agriculture with all the employment, yeah, you know very well that with the rural population, even in Kenya, where majority of us come from, you cannot sustain a good life for them. So it means that you have to see how to offload them to another sector. And the only way you can offload them to another sector is by actually seeing that industrialization is going on. Of course, if you look at our country, you'll find that right now the services sector is actually very big. Yeah? It's taking a significant proportion of our GDP. But the quality of the services sector is defined by the quality of industry and agriculture. So industrialization is a key focus for us, and we have come to Kisumu because first of all, our conferences move regionally. So we tend to move from one county to another, but at a regional level. Yeah? So the Lake region is very special in some way. First of all, you'll notice that all the textile industries, whether you're talking about Rivertex, whether you're talking about Kikomi, they're in this region, right? If you look at sugar industry, yeah, again the sugar industries, we have quite a number of them in this region, yeah. When you're talking about processing of tea, the Ketepa is also in the Lake region block, sure. Economic block, yeah. And recently, if you look at what the mining industry has given us as the critical minerals, yeah, that really can take this country very far, even in the industrialization, you'll also find that there are quite a number of deposits that are also found in the counties in this region. So Kisumu then gets to be the chair of the Lake Region Economic Bloc. So you can see that we didn't just choose it. We considered quite a number of factors, and it is actually the place to have this conversation. First of all, to see For example, how do we revamp even the industries that are already there? How are we going to bring back our textile industry? Rivertex is already moving, yeah? But we have also Kikomi.
That is still moribund.
That is moribund, yet one of the better conversation or sector of interest is textile, which means that you look at textile, and if you look at the value chain, then you have to think about cotton growers. The cotton growing actually also is very common in this region, yeah?
Sure.
So if you have then to think about that value chain, it means that we need to have a conversation on what exactly is going on. Yeah.
And you've mentioned it, right? The theme of this this conference this year is focusing on industrialization, and as an institute that focuses on shaping public policy, how can you describe the current state of industrialization in the country?
That's a very good question, and very weighty, because there are many things that you'll find as opportunities, but also as challenges, yeah? Our sector has come from very far since independence. We decided after independence we can protect our local farms, yeah? Through the import substitution strategy. And then after some time, then we realized that we may not necessarily be having competitive farms that are competing at the international level.
Oh, yes.
So then we moved on to say, let's look at export-led kind of industrialization process, yeah? Which therefore saw the industry open up, yeah? To even having foreign direct investment, but also having industries that are focused to promote export growth, yeah? So, but when you look at that path, you'll also notice that the very key industry activity that we do, especially in manufacturing, is agro-processing, which means that we are either doing food processing, food and beverages, yeah? And food and beverages is such that it's considered as the low technology kind of industrialization, yeah? And there's that time that, we had Omo, Cadbury was here, and would export to Uganda, Tanzania, and the like, yeah? But then they have also started producing these things locally, which means that as a country, we need then to ask ourselves, how do we up our game to get to medium technology kind of manufacturing, and then also to high technology manufacturing. And the National Industrialization Policy, if you look at it, in as much as it emphasizes on still the textile, for example, industry, and that agro-processing, but it also indicates the vision of the country is actually to move to advanced manufacturing, which means that the country would want to see ourselves, for example, having high technology companies like pharmaceuticals, because they're high technology, having a vaccine industry, which means that you can take care of our health. But at the same time, why not have motor industry? We had the Nyayo car at some point. Of course, it didn't go very far, but maybe it's the time now to still have that conversation, because the more you get to high-level technology, you also find that the multiplier effect is also very, very big. In the sense that if you had a motor vehicle industry, it means that there will be maybe those small enterprises that would do the wiper. There will be those who will do maybe small parts, and you can assemble it, and it becomes, and therefore the multiplier effect and the trickle down also becomes very high. So that's one thing, that we are still not at a high technology level, We are still at the low technology, moving to the medium. Yeah? Secondly is a lot of manufacturing firms are MSCs. Over 80% of manufacturing firms are micro and small enterprises. So what is the issue with them? The issue with the MSCs is that one, innovation is very low. They don't do a lot of innovation, whether in processes, whether in production, or whether in marketing. Innovation is a bit low. Secondly, we also see there is a sort of very limited relationship between the micro enterprises and the large firms. So the expectation sometimes is that you can transfer technology to micro and small enterprises if you have like subcontracting, yeah? So you get maybe a big firm that is doing a certain production, and they say this part, we want it to come from a micro enterprise, yeah? Which means that you can transfer technology. But at the moment, you find the relationship is very weak. It's not there. You'll find the micro enterprises tend to deal with the other micro enterprises, yeah? And so the technology level for MSCs is usually very low. So what does this mean? It means also that the kind of labor that therefore you find being engaged is not highly productive, right? Because if we are using wrong technology, then it means that your production process is also slow, and therefore the output that you are making is also not as much. Yeah? So the government setting up the State Department for Micro and Small Enterprises is therefore a very good strategy to see to it that we are capturing a key factor that would drive industrialization in this country.
Yeah, we mentioned there is that need, the need for a nexus between the SMEs and of course the established industries, factories. But then when you look at industrialization, of course, you mentioned that Kenya, as we speak, we're still at the basic in terms of manufacturing as the bigger picture of industrialization. And there is need for us to move from that basic or the low level to the medium and eventually to the advanced one. What do you identify? Because part of your mandate is to carry out research and actually advise the government on development issues. What do you identify as some of the key constraints that is still making Kenya to lag behind or rather not move as faster as we would wish?
Yeah, so we have done, we've looked at different things. And one of the things we've looked at is what really is happening with MSCs. Why are they not able to grow? What are the challenges? Yeah, and we've realized. You see, when we started at independence, yeah, there were some institutions that were put across, like Kenya Industrial Estate. I think there is is it ICDC? And they were meant, first of all, to provide even work sites for the manufacturers to nurture themselves. Secondly, also to provide some financing. And thirdly, actually to do some training, yeah? Right? That is a very big mandate, yeah? But you see, as we have grown, yeah, the same has not grown at that speed, yeah? So you'll find that when we visit the micro and small enterprise, they'll say the work sites, in some situations they are there, but they are not equipped to the level that you'd want. Say, for example, there used to be what we call the common manufacturing like plants. So I don't need to buy an equipment, yeah, we can have that common one and we can actually get access to it, yeah? Which means that if I'm doing, say, even furniture, and I want to shape it, yeah? I don't need to buy something to shape. I can just go there and deal with it. So they say that is not necessary. The access is not there, and the equipping of the work site is missing something. Sometimes you're missing electricity, which is very core, yeah? So that's one thing. Where do you do your industrialization? And at the moment, the government is actually trying to come up with the county industrial aggregation parks, yeah? So if that happens, it means that you can actually provide those work sites for the MSCs actually to work from. So the second thing that comes up, especially for micro and small enterprises, is the aspect of market. I don't know much about Kisumu, but if you go to Nairobi, Modhurwa area, you want to buy, you know that box, the box of tin box, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
That box, when I went to school, and now, is the same way. You'll sometimes pull it up and it will break the handle. If you are not very careful, it will scratch you. So it has not moved. And it means therefore that we are not improving on the standards of our products. Which means that if you are not improving standards, then there is no market. And at the same time, if you are not innovating, so the expectation would be that that box should have been evolved. Innovation has come in. You should see something pretty nice to carry all along, like anybody else that is seeing. Now you have a box that you can run around with. But that box has remained the same.
Still static.
It's still the same thing. So that element of standardization and also innovation is pulling us back because we cannot actually market, and therefore the demand then aspect comes in. Of course, the other key thing that always comes up is financing. Of course, if you have to do, say for example, heavy manufacturing, if you have to do commercialized mining, it means that you have to put in a significant capital, right? If you are micro and small enterprises, most of the time is that you cannot attract very heavy capital, So, and for that reason, then the technology that you'll start with seems that you cannot improve with, But all is not lost because we have seen with the fourth industrial revolution, there are things that are coming in. You find there are those who are taking up to enhance their processes with the Internet of Things. There are those who are taking robotic in medicine is also coming in. There is also the use of AI, which is helping actually to make things more efficient. And I can say that there's quite a lot of work we have done recently, and we have seen the opportunities that are available, whether it is in the tea factories, whether it is in medicine, or whether even it is in electricity sector. So there is hope for our industries, but we need then to invest even in skills that. So we don't want to be in a country where we are mining and the only thing we can be told is that you don't have the skills, to help in processing, So investing in such skills is crucial. And if you go now to some of the universities, you'll find that they are taking up courses that help to build those skills. TVETs are also offering some of the courses that would help improve on the skills. Yeah, the whole idea is that as we get to say we exploit our critical minerals, that would help not only industrialization, but also would help us to deal with the carbon prints, which means that you kill two birds with one stone. We need that technology. We need the manpower. We need the skills to bring them in.
And actually, the government, I know, plays a critical role in terms of building the capacity, not just the SMEs, but also even the educational centers and academic institutions, actually, to build the capacity of the youth, such that even by the time they leave the school and transition to the job market, they have those skills already. Well, we are continuing this discussion just right after this short break. We still have a lot to discuss regarding the industrialization in the country, but then we're taking this very short break. We'll be back with much more regarding this discussion. Let us go for that short break.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu.
I'm Nadia Said Chef Kenboy. I am 10 years old and my talent is to model. I realized I am in fashion when mom started taking me out for fashion.
Komando, 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 kwambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Bingwa TB, TB waishi poa.
Let me not repeat myself.
You don't have to repeat yourself. The spirit has refused.
Josephine, come in. Leticia, huh? Yani, you mean you are not paying rent because you want just to please a woman? My brother, that is a beautiful thing.
You two guys, you have to put stop to this. You are constant eating. I just cleaned this glass few minutes ago, and you already saw in it. Mumelongwa.
At least she's genuine about her feelings, unlike some watops here rejoicing chini kwa chini.
Well, welcome back, and we still continue with our discussion regarding the 7th edition of the Kipra Regional Conference that is happening here in Kisumu. And before we went for that short break, we were talking about the link up between the need for the SMEs and established industries actually to link up to ensure that there is transfer of skills from the medium level to the low level in a way to build or raise the capacity of the country's industrialization in terms of manufacturing. And before we went that break, we were mentioning something to do with building the capacity of the SMEs, but also world such that by the time scholars or the students leave school, they have the necessary skills actually as they transfer into the job market. And aside from the main event that is happening right where we are here, I understand there is also the youth segment as a component of this conference. How do you link up the two?
Yeah, thank you. So when we started organizing these conferences, we realized that sometimes we miss out the voice of the youth, yeah? When we are discussing, we are all discussing, we don't feel the youth, yeah?
Sure.
So we decided the youth also need to have a conversation, yeah? So in every conference, we therefore have what we call a youth event, yeah? And in the youth event, we normally invite youth and give them a theme from which they can discuss and they can see their input in the development agenda, and they can also bring up issues that are of interest to the policy maker that would help them to participate more effectively. So right now, this time round, we've brought youth, first of all, to do capacity building for 2 days. So from Monday and Tuesday, we've been having youth who are building capacity, about 60 of them, yeah? And the idea is that if you build capacity for the youth on what happens in the policy process, then when they come to the discussions, they will be able to participate more effectively. At the same time, when you build that capacity, it means that even when they get out of the conference, they'll have earned something extra. So, so from today, we have that youth event where we have about almost 200 youth who will be discussing matters to do with the youth and their participation in the industrialization process. You realize that youth is actually the future that we depend on, yeah? First of all, in terms of innovation, they bring in new ideas. But secondly, they are the ones who are actually coming from school. It means that if we train them nicely, then they have the skill that can be utilized, yeah? So in the discussions, then they will look at what is their space, what is it that they are bringing in, how can they package the innovations that they have, even in the industrial sector, that can bring value to them. Because there are situations where you have university students, TVET students, they have a good innovation, but it ends there. It is never commercialized, yeah? So we have brought in some experts who would actually talk to them and help them see options that are there for them to create value in whatever they are trying to innovate. So the youths that are here, they have come from different parts of the country, but a significant proportion is coming from the Lake region. Yeah.
And actually, when you mentioned about your mandate, part of it is to advise and inform the government regarding the policies that are touching on development. And as you already mentioned, is that the country, the development blueprint for the country is anchored on the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And as Kipra at the moment, what are the areas of key focus for you that you're looking into actually to expand or rather advise the better agenda as we speak?
Yeah, so thank you very much. So at the moment, so when the bottom-up economic transformation agenda was put up, we had to reorganize in terms of what exactly is our focus, in terms of, say, research and even in terms of capacity building, So our focus actually this year has been on various areas, One is looking at forest management. With the president's interest in ensuring that we have 15 billion trees planted, we've asked ourselves, how can you actually achieve the same and manage? Because you could have you can plant trees, but if the demand for those trees is outpaces what you are restoring, it means that you may not have a sustainable future, We have also focused our attention to ask even, say, tea factories, that utilize quite a lot of wood, how can they transition to cleaner energy or alternatives of maybe planting their own trees and therefore harvesting from it so that they don't necessarily reduce, they allow for sustainable. But secondly is that we have focused our attention on fourth industrial revolution, as I had indicated, yeah? And you'll notice that the fourth industrial revolution is capturing quite a number of sectors, yeah? Whether you go to health, so we have issues to do with the future of utilizing robotics, yeah? In the medicine world, yeah? So the focus has been the futuristic foresight, yeah? Of where do you expect to move, and therefore how do you prepare yourself now, say for example to have the additive manufacturing, the 3D, having a AI element, having the robotic, as I've said, and all these things we are looking at them from futuristic, yeah? So that we can say how do you prepare yourself going forward, yeah? So I would say that on matters to do with better, we have also a focus on employment.
Sure.
Like now, when we start the new year, the focus will be on how do you generate jobs. Eh?
Sure.
And the generating jobs does not mean that you are employing, yeah? But it's also saying how do you create the space, yeah, where you can also have self-employment, yeah. So at the end of the day, then we'll be telling the government, yeah, where are the opportunities and how can we get there with these opportunities, yeah. What kind of policy framework do we require? Where are the bottlenecks that we need to deal with? And we have also looked at productivity matters. You realize that you can have all these things and they may be looking like things are working, yeah? But you may start asking yourself, why then are people not getting out of poverty? Why then are people actually not feeling like there is growth?
Yes.
But in some situations it's just because of productivity. You and I, you go to work day in, day out, but if you look at your output, it's not commensurate to the effort that you're putting, which means that we need then to ask you what is it that is not happening? Is it a skill that is not there? Or is it that the environment, so we are not giving you the tools of work so that you can be very productive? Or is it that you're working in a sector where demand is not there, which means that today I'll make the one table, tomorrow I'll still make the one table. But if there was demand for 3 tables, you see, I would increase my productivity.
Exactly.
So we have a great work which we'll be launching very soon, focusing on productivity issues.
All right.
Yeah.
And even as you plan that to roll out that program, as we gear towards the end of this conversation, how do you expect these kind of conversations, or rather conferences like this one that is being held in Kisumu, in the eventual, in the fullness of time, how do you expect them actually to inform the better agenda with regards to industrialization?
Very, very good question. If you come to, and I hope you'll stay on, and if you look at our program, you'll find that we are covering so many things, yeah? We are covering matters from policy to ask ourselves whether there are any policy gaps. We are covering matters to do with the green manufacturing because we are telling ourselves, even as we industrialize, we have also to look at our carbon prints. We are also asking ourselves, is there adequate data that can help the planning process, yeah? So that you can effectively plan for the industrial sector. So at the end of the day, of course, these are just 3 things, but there are many things that we are doing.
Yes.
At the end of the day is we'll come up with a communique. And normally when we do a communique, we look at the issues and we share them with the implementers, yeah? So if we find that there's something that needs to go to the Ministry of Agriculture, we'll take it there.
Yes.
If we find that there's something that needs to go to State Department of Industry, we'll take it there. So it's a conversation that never ends here.
Sure, exactly.
It moves on, and as as we have further conversation in the future with the government, we'll actually utilize the opportunity to ensure that the issues that have been brought here actually also find their way into the policy documents.
Okay, thank you so much. Like you mentioned, it's a conversation that's not ending here. It's a continuous conversation to ensure that actually the country's development blueprint, that is the better for this regime, is actualized. And we have been speaking with Dr. Rose Mbugi, who is actually the executive director for KIPRA. She's been speaking with us regarding the 7th annual regional conference that is being held here in Kisumu by KIPRA. And the theme of this conference is actually focusing on industrialization. That is the subject we've been discussing for the last 20 minutes or so. And at this point, I would like to hand you back to the studio in Nairobi. But then there is much more that is coming up next because the conference is yet to start. We're expecting quite people from different sectors, and all the aim is being to open that nexus, open that floor for discussion in terms of forming public policies that is going to steer the country's development agenda forward. At this point, let me hand you back to the studios in Nairobi, but much more will be coming to you later on regarding the 7th annual conference by KIPRA that is underway here in the Lakeside County of Kisumu.
Situated in the heart of Johannesburg, this museum offers a thought-provoking and educational experience. It serves to remind us of the segregation and discrimination under the apartheid regime. Welcome to the Apartheid Museum. Within these walls are unique exhibitions that illustrate the rise and fall of apartheid. Later, we take a glimpse into the past so history never repeats itself. But first, we head to Ghana to see how Daniel Tate is breathing life into rural spaces with his modern architecture. Then meet ex-comedian turned restaurateur Jennifer Melinda Schmidt. We then hear the soothing sounds of Dela Dube, a spoken word artist living in Rwanda. Power flows through my veins. Power. My name is Pamela Mtanga, and you're watching AfriMax. Before we talk to Vinolia Hlongwane about the atrocities of apartheid, we shine a light on the Soweto Choir. I could tell you all about the choir, but you have to experience it yourself. Check this out. Sounds and stories of South Africa. The Soweto Choir wants to bring them into the world and unite people through music wherever they come from.
Music means sharing, peace. It's a method of therapy that I believe works wonders because it has no boundaries.
Coming from a family of choir members and masters, Soweto raised in an Emmy Award-winner and the musical director of the Soweto Choir, which has a diverse repertoire that includes a variety of gospel, spiritual, and traditional African songs.
It is important for me to share music with people because we are able to connect, we are able to express ourselves, our feelings. I'm driven by a calling to serve, because as musicians, as artists, we have a responsibility to actually take a lead in raising issues. In most cases, I raise those on stage through singing, and that's That's what I believe, that we as people, we need to share experiences in order to grow together.
When they're not on tour, the ensemble meets in Jimmy's parents' garage for rehearsal.
Our choir members are from Soweto. Some were born in other villages around the country, but they live here in Soweto. The choir is their only source of income, and most of them are educated, but it's hard to get jobs. So we try by all means to, come together and create some kind of work for all of us.
Jimmy started singing at the age of 8 in the choir founded by his grandmother that would later become known worldwide as the Soweto Gospel Choir. To branch out from gospel music further on in his career, Jimmy started the Soweto Choir.
In Soweto, there's a big musical culture.